My name is Ruslan. Yes, I am a hip hop artist, creative entrepreneur. I am originally from Azerbaijan, Baku, and I am Armenian. Somebody asked that in the Periscope chat. Appreciate you asking. So I tend to, have I guess a unique view as an immigrant refugee who grew up in San Diego and was exposed to hip hop culture and grew up in a predominantly black and brown neighborhood. That is how I got into hip hop and music and all these kind of things. I've been a full-time entrepreneur since 2015, and I'm gonna be doing more, I guess, video content here on YouTube, but specifically new music on the way. But right now we're focusing on John Keith. He has an album called Anti-Hero. It's coming out August 21st. You go pre-order it. If you pre-order it, send a screenshot of the pre-order to the King's Dream Instagram. We'll give you the album early, or you can get one of these 25 limited edition pieces of vinyl. Let's keep it moving. Now, this is an interesting story. There's a rapper out of Chicago, a super dope rapper named Noname. Her name is Noname. She's super, super fire, right? I actually bumped into her bandmates on my way to a show in Toronto about a year and a half ago, and we were on the same flight going to the same city, and her bandmates were there. We chopped it up. We're hanging out. Super cool dude. And Noname kind of got her buzz in the SoundCloud community. She's been on some fairly big records, like the Mick Jenkins record. She was very critical of J. Cole, and J. Cole kind of made like a diss record about her, kind of, sort of. But Noname is really, really talented, but she spends a lot of her time reading and reading, super dope books about being woke, apparently. And she had the nerve to go after Beyonce. Okay, now, I am not a big fan of Beyonce. Obviously, I think she's freakishly talented, but like I haven't sat and watched, the whole visual album thing, but she has some bops. I'm not going to cap. She's super dope. And she went after her in this wild tweet that I think is very indicative of where we are as a society right now. I'm going to read it to you in a second. But before I do that, hey, give this video a quick thumbs up. Those help out a ton. And again, if you're watching this live, let me know where you're watching this from. So check this tweet out from Noname. This is wild. In regards to Beyonce's new visual album called Black is King, the tweet says, "We love an African aesthetic draped in capitalism. Hope we remember the black folks on the continent whose daily lives are impacted by U.S. imperialism. If we can uplift the imagery, I hope we can uplift those who will never be able to access it. Black liberation is a global struggle." So, just so we're clear, Noname is on some like really radical far left ideology. She wants to dismantle capitalism. She wants to, this is where people start like pushing back against like some of the Black Lives Matter stuff. This is like the extreme in terms of some of her views is like, we love an African aesthetic, but it's dripped in capitalism. The logic being here that capitalism is evil, and capitalism is really the issue, the root issue of racism. Now, I did a whole video about is capitalism evil. I do not think capitalism evil. I think capitalism, depending on if you have the accurate definition, is actually a free market economy. This is who we are as people. It's intrinsic to human behavior, right? Now, check this response out. This is hilarious. Check this response out. So she said, we love an African aesthetic draped in capitalism. Hope we remember the black folks on the continent whose daily lives are impacted by U.S. imperialism, which we don't do U.S. imperialism right now. As far as I know, the continent of Africa didn't have any U.S. imperialistic, presence there, as far as I know. But maybe I'm missing something. And I have friends that live in Nigeria, in Ghana, South Africa, all over, right? If we can uplift the imagery, I hope we can uplift those who will never be able to access it. Black liberation is a global struggle. Check out the first comment. As an African living in Africa, I assure you Beyonce's dedication to collaborating with other talented creatives to come up with beautiful, uplifting art is doing more for us than anything you have done. Wow. Funny how so many people were Team Noname when she criticized J. Cole and Talib. It was all kinds of yes, but as soon as it's Beyonce, the Noname is problematic. Would you have liked it if the African looked poor and hungry? You saw Africans being themselves and being part of an amazing body of art and looking good at it, and you called it an aesthetic? Yeesh! The real Africa is what small huts and torn clothes and hungry-looking children look like. Yo, They came for Noname. This is the part where, like, you can critique and criticize J. Cole, and he's a cisgendered male, and he doesn't know anything about the struggle. But you come after Beyonce, and goodness gracious, did they come after Noname? Not even on some, like, we're trying to cancel you, but just like, yo, you're shooting at your own. Like, you're shooting at Beyonce, who's been super pro-black Lives Matter this entire time. Why are you shooting at your own? This is also very common in a lot of Christian circles. Like, we really shoot and wound our own. And it doesn't make any sense to me that she would go, like, you had nothing better to talk about than to go at Beyonce, who, like, has consistently spoken on these issues for years, right? Which is really interesting to me. So now check this out. So then I went and I was like, well, let me see what the rest of her Twitter looks like, you know what I mean? And it's like, one successful thing colonization did was create a static imbalance in the mind of every colonized subject. What? Right? Zimbabwe Lives Matter, appropriation and aesthetic. Like, black people can appropriate black art. What? This doesn't make any sense, right? And so it's just like, we need to dismantle capitalism. Socialism is great. And, you know, I'm telling you, this is where it starts getting I'm trying to see, there's one. This is it right here. Check this out. This is it. For far from meaning that everyone has left alone and unorganized, archism is a classical sense privileges democratic and communal relationality, obviating external rule and control. This is a positive consumption of what? Like, what is this? Some of this, these concepts is about literally the dismantlement of our entire system, right? And I think this is where things start to fall apart, because you have people who are, I guess you could say postmodern, Peter, thank you, postmodern, but it's not just postmodern, it's not just politically correct. I don't have a problem with, you know, hey, we're going to be, you know, sensitive to people with special needs or people of certain genders or certain ethnicities. I have no problem with that. When you start going to the radical extreme of saying, hey, we have to dismantle all of American society because there's disparity, and all disparity can be traced back to racism, and all racism can be traced back to capitalism. No. Listen to me. Capitalism is a free market economy, not crony capitalism, not corporatism, not consumerism. A lot of y'all get confused on what capitalism actually is. I made a whole video about it. You should go look at it. Capitalism is not evil. Capitalism does not reinforce poverty. If you actually look at countries that became more capitalistic, the Indias, the Chinas, that started doing trade with other places, their quality of life has went up. So I think it's very ironic that Noname is sitting here criticizing capitalism, African aesthetic draped in capitalism, on her smartphone, tweeting the irony of all this, right? The irony of all this is like, oh, come on, fam. You know what I mean? And this is the kind of stuff that you're going to see more and more, is you're going to see people that are, in my opinion, out of touch. Like, in my opinion, this is someone who's freakishly talented, but hasn't really lived life long enough to understand how these things work, and how the ultimate solutions are going to be individual people having conversations and people learning how to develop wealth and creating assets for themselves. That is where we have to go. We have to go more and more towards equipping people, inspiring people, giving people the tools for financial literacy, so that we can all level up and everybody can grow in wealth, right? That the inequalities can be adjusted by creating more opportunities, but not equal opportunity, but not equal output. Capitalism is not about equal output. And this is what I mean. Guys, I love basketball. I'm a big fan of basketball, but I'm also 5'10" and Armenian. And there's never been an Armenian that's made it to the NBA. Just because I love basketball, that doesn't mean that I am entitled to be in the NBA. Just because I love basketball doesn't mean I should make the same thing as LeBron James makes, right? He's substantially better than I am at basketball. And that is what should happen. He should be the greatest basketball player alive. He should make more money than me at basketball. That doesn't mean I can't find my own lane. That doesn't mean that I can't find my own thing and my own contribution, right? To give to the world, whether it's through YouTube or through music or whatever. And this is where this entire thing starts really unraveling, because not all, but some of the logical conclusions just goes into a very dark, dismantle the entire system. You know, capitalism is evil, and it's not capitalism. It's men's wicked hearts that are evil, and men's wicked hearts that can be impartial, you know, struggling with the sin of impartiality, struggling with the sin of hate, struggling with the sin of hate against somebody because of their race. And those men end up going into careers or into systems, into structures that corrupt those structures, can create a toxic culture in those structures. And then you get things like the George Floyd situation, right? It's hearts that, and by the way, and some people will say, well, no, it's just individuals. Systems are good. Systems are good. No, I'm not going to say that. Systems can be corrupted. Systems can corrupt culture, right? They can. Like if we're going to look at the South Side of Chicago and say, well, the gangs are bad and they just have a corrupt culture and that's why this is happening in Chicago, you also have to look at the other side of what just happened in Compton. I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a gang. This is like, look this up, okay? But when I say look this up, I'm saying like I could be wrong about this, but do your own research. But there's a gang. It just came out, a whistleblower named Art Gonzalez, a Los Angeles Sheriff Department, just blew the whistle on a racist gang called the Executioners, who were operating out of the Compton division, right? And these guys had matching tattoos with a Nazi-like helmet, a skull and bones, and you could only get in the gang if you killed somebody. This is happening in California, right? That is a corrupt police culture in there. And it was a whistleblower from the Los Angeles Sheriff Department that blew the whistle, and now it's all getting investigated. And there's multiple stories like this of white supremacists entering law enforcement or being corrupted by certain cultures of law enforcement. So we can't just say it's one or the other. It's wicked hearts can corrupt culture. This can happen. This does happen, right? And I'm not trying to oversimplify how nuanced the issue of police brutality is in America, but goodness gracious, it's not capitalism, it's people, right? Capitalism beats Trump socialism. We get that, like that, Trump socialism. Capitalism beats socialism. Free market beats social. I come from a socialistic country. I promise you, socialism is not lit. It's not dope. It's like, I remember being a kid and lining up for food rations back in Russia because we were under a communist, back in Baku, we were under a communist nation, right? I remember we would get not a gallon, but like a bathtub full of water, and that was what we had to share between our entire family. This stuff is wild. So no, Noname. You can't sit here and critique American capitalism and say that it's, you know, oh, Beyonce's culturally appropriating an African aesthetic because it's draped in capitalism. No. Beyonce is doing a great job. She's hiring and creating opportunity for a lot of black people, white people, brown people. She's speaking and using her platform, whether it's at the Super Bowl or whatever, right? And so I think it's important for us to say, hey, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you look at Martin Luther King and you look at a lot of the civil rights leaders, they were critiquing the fact that we had systems that did not reflect what the actual founding fathers and the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence say. What does it say? Life. We believe all men are created equal, and we have the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is what the Constitution says. That is what we need to get back to. And that was his appeal. Now we're saying, oh no, it's all evil and we need to get rid of it and we need to start over. No, ain't nobody going to do that. Ain't nobody's going to get rid of it. Right? Now, will we become, will we develop more social programs? Will we develop more safety nets, especially after COVID? I'm sure we will, right? This happened after the last Great Depression in, what was it, in the 1920s, right? Then they had the Great New Deal and all these different things. But let's not get these things confused. It's not that capitalism is the issue. Crony capitalism is bad and consumerism is bad and corporatism is bad. But the free market economy, you have a product, I want that product. I go buy you the product from you because I believe in you, right? Supporting small businesses. That is how we thrive, man. And that there is a more there's more opportunity now in 2020 for all of us to go out and get it, not just the people at the top, which historically that is what it's been. You know what I'm saying? Historically, that is what it's been. So, yeah, man, this Noname situation is crazy. And she, you know, she came at J. Cole. I thought that was wild, you know, and J. Cole kind of like, you know, snapped back at her in that song and was like, she's doing the reading. But listen, just because you read don't make you right. Just because you read, that's kind of a pun there. Just because you read doesn't make your opinion right. You can read a lot of junk and a lot of books by people who haven't done anything, right? I don't read books by authors who haven't done anything. I read books by people who've done something I want to do and I want to become like them. So books about theories and abstract ideas, and I don't spend a ton of time reading those books. I want to read books from people who've lived out what they're writing. You know what I'm saying? One of my favorite books, Disciplines of Grace, right? Look that up. It's a great Christian book. I read that book. It's a great book. It's written by somebody who what? Who developed a whole life of following the gospel and following Jesus, right? That's who I want to hear from. I don't want to hear from some 25-year-old rapper who read a couple of socialist books and now she has the answers to all the world's problems. Like, no, fam.